Hey there, I'm Hab Haddad. I'm the CEO and co-founder of GreenPoint.
And hi, I'm Lisa Haddad, co-founder of GreenPoint, chief marketing officer, and founder of our house brand, HighNMighty.
We're a Type 6 manufacturer and a Type 11 distributor. We do both cold ethanol extraction and ice water-based bubble hash and mechanical extraction. We do white label services for other licensees, and we also distribute from license to license and license to retailer for several brands.
So come on in, we'll show you around.
So this is the command center here at GreenPoint. This is where we do most of our logistics, coordination, and planning for future activity. This is where we have our security system, which we can monitor the entire facility. There's 32 cameras in the entire place. Anywhere where there's cannabis touched, there's a camera in that room. This is where we have our security system and battery backup and all of the company's files, which is required by the city and the state, part of the regulations of the cannabis license. This is where we have our secure storage. It's bolted to the ground, which is part of the regulations here in Long Beach, and it allows us to keep our product secure and safe even during a intrusion because it's bolted to the facility. So this is where we do a lot of our team meetings and our logistics. We kind of map out the week ahead and talk about the schedule. Here are our licenses, which show we both have a distribution license and a manufacturing license. We're two separate licenses here at GreenPoint, so we're not a micro business where we're all under one premise. We're two separate premises all under the same building, which we're kind of unique. We have both a distribution license. We're the 18th distributor licensed in the state of California. Very proud of that fact. And we are also a Type 6 manufacturer on the other side of the facility. But because our manufacturing facility is in the same building, it makes us a little bit more unique than the average distributor, because we can process oil and then pass it over to our distribution license and then go out to the other licensees from there. So pretty cool. Let's go on to the next room. Gonna take you this way. We're gonna go down our distribution hallway and where we have all of our storage rooms. This is our main storage room where we keep a lot of our overflow product and we do a lot of our pre-roll production. And today we have Miss HighNMighty in here who's gonna talk a little bit about what she does. Hey, Miss HighNMighty.
Well, hi there. Hi, so HighNMighty is our house brand. HighNMighty started about 5 years ago in the traditional market as a true passion of mine for a natural pain reliever. Cannabis and exercise has really been a balance in my life for living my authentic self. My goal is to demonstrate what a cannabis consuming mid-40s woman, mother, professional might look like, might act like, might live her lifestyle like. And it's a lifestyle of authenticity and owning your shit. So HighNMighty started with our balm. It's a line of cannabis topicals as well as consumables. We'll be launching HighNMighty hopefully spring of next year, and really excited to enable women, especially mothers, to express having cannabis in their life as a natural resources for anxiety, for stress that we're all dealing with as women, as mothers. And that was my main purpose for HighNMighty and my passion for that lifestyle. We don't have to live the way society wants us to live. We can create our own picture, our own story. Go HighNMighty.
So here we are in our formulation room, and what we do in here is we make small batch formulations and prep them for large production runs. And we do both tincture filling and vape cartridge filling in a semi-automatic basis. Once we get the consistency and quality we want exactly as the client specifies, we then do a larger scale production into our larger filling rooms. Instead, right now, we'll use our homogenizer to make sure we have a consistent mix of the product and make sure its efficacy is there. We have our tincture filling machine, which basically is a semi-automatic peristaltic pump, which pumps coconut oil or MCT oil-based tinctures into glass vials. Then we have a machine that will cap the vials one at a time. So that is a complete setup there. Once we have our process set, we then move this entire setup, because it's portable, into our larger filling room where we can do thousands at a time. Same thing is set up over here where we have a vape cartridge filling system. And in order to make sure you always have a consistent fill, with vape oil or THC based oil, you have to use heated vessels, heated lines, and a very accurate mechanical injection pump to make sure you get a consistent fill each time in your either half gram or your full gram vape cartridges. We also have a mixing system that's set up to keep the oil constantly mixed and homogenize as we do our fill, because it's not just THC oil that you put in your vape cartridges. There's usually some cannabis-derived terpenes that you also mix as well. So this is able to be set up on a 1x1 or thousands at a time batch process, but what we do is we dial in the process before we make a larger production run in the other rooms. So here at GreenPoint, we do several white label products. We do pre-rolls, vape cartridges, tinctures. We also do rosin and bubble hash. And today I'm going to take you over to where we make our bulk pre-rolls. So follow me into our pre-roll room where Lewis, our compliance and pre-roll manager, is getting pre-rolls set up for our team to do the finishing process. So right here we have Lewis, our pre-roll manager, loading up our rocket box.
Hello, I'm Lewis Potashnik here with GreenPoint in Long Beach. So essentially, I'm preparing pre-rolls here for our team to pack and twist. Essentially, we fill these pre-rolls with a machine called the Rocket Box. It can fill approximately 450 cones at a time. Basically, all it requires is for you to fill up the cones. So this bottom tray is used pretty much to just store the empty cones until it's ready to go into the Rocket Box. And then once you have the desired amount of cones ready to go, you stick on this top tray here, and this will essentially funnel the shake or whatever material you're using for pre-rolls into the cones themselves. And then at this point, you simply lift it up and you're ready to load it into the machine. So this part, you very gently and carefully load the trays into the Rocket Box, making sure not to crush any pre-rolls. And then all that's left is to secure the trays into the Rocket Box. And once these are fully secured, make sure the lips are all set. Once this reaches about 80-90 psi is when they usually get the machine started. And then at this point you're ready to hit go and start filling. After a few cycles of the bumping and the vibrating, you can now safely lower and unscrew these nuts and bolts. This is basically all there is to it. Put these back, take this out, put it back in the tray. Any material that didn't quite make it in. Pop these up. Let's see, we have some completed pre-rolls here. After this step, you basically load them up. And then basically we take them over to the other side where our pre-roll team finishes them up. So we fill them in here, and then the pre-roll team takes them and packs them and twists them.
So you just saw Lewis over in our distribution facility showing you how we make our raw bulk pre-rolls. A lot of the production is done on our distribution side, and when we have a light load, we do a majority of our filling in our manufacturing facility, which is located still within the same building, but in the separate premise and also as a separate license. So now we're walking through our common lobbyway, which connects both our distribution license and our manufacturing license, which makes us a little unique to a cannabis facility because we have two licenses with 2 different agencies under the same roof. So right now we're going to be walking into our manufacturing facility. It's a type 6 manufacturer. We do both cold ethanol and ice water extraction here, and we also do a lot of white label services. And one of those services is pre-rolls, and I'm about to walk you into our pre-roll room where we have our pre-roll team putting together all the pre-rolls that our pre-roll manager Lewis put together for them right this way. And so we have 5 people in the room kind of set up all at their own stations. Each one has a scale in front of them and has a pre-roll that's next to them that they use as a measuring stick. So we do 2 things. We both make sure the size is consistent and the weight is consistent for each pre-roll. So they take the bulk pre-rolls and they tamp them down so all the cannabis is tightly packed, so it's a consistent burn. And then depending on the client's needs, they either twist the pre-roll or fold the pre-roll to the client's specifications. Then they weigh them out individually. The reason we weigh out each individual joint is there's a lot of loss if you're a 0.1 of a gram above or below. By the time you do 10,000 or 20,000 pre-rolls, that adds up to be a lot of wasted cannabis. And it matters because customers want to make sure if they're paying for a 1 gram pre-roll, they're getting a 1 gram pre-roll. So a lot of what we do is make sure the consistency is there, the quality's there, it'll be a good quality burn, and it's the same consistent product each and every time, which is why our clients come back to us for repeat business. And there you go. And this is the team, and they do this pretty much every day and try to maintain a steady quota of the number of pre-rolls we kind of produce on a daily basis.
Yeah, I'm Bird, and I'm here with the manufacturing team. This is our post-processing center, and this is where we intake our product. We mill it down, we weigh it, and we get it ready for our extraction process. So, depends on the strain and the customer on what he wants. We bring it in, we mill it, and we weigh every bag identical so that we maintain consistency in the process. Correct, we'll bring the raw product in. We mill it down, whether it be by hand, by machine, and once the consistency is right to the strain, we weigh it out accordingly, we put it in our bags, and then we get them ready for the extraction process. Milling is taking our plant matter down and grinding it down to a finer particles. Whether it be a nice, depends like I said on the strain, we'll take it down from a hand mill to a machine mill, it depends on how fine we need the product to be. And then that'll give us a better yield on the end result. One of our main goals is to mill the product down to fit the right amount and consistency in each bag that goes into the process of extraction.
Hey, this is Ricky at GreenPoint Holdings. So we extract in this room. We fill these bags with biomass and we throw them into the centrifuge in here. Then we use liquid nitrogen to chill the ethanol, and then that actually pulls off all the oil. We spin it to get the ethanol out, move it over here into filtration, just to your right. We move that, we move the fluid with pressure or vacuum into here, that comes into here, and we push that through a second filtration layer into a holding tank. And this is really hot up here. This is called the rocket in our system. And this unit over here basically evaporates the ethanol off so that we can recover our oil at the bottom here. So after a day's run or after each run, we'll open the valve, break vacuum, and collect the oil in the bucket. And then after that, I hand that off to my associate that does the reactor and distillate. So this is like a hot jacket. Basically, it's heated by a really strong water heater. The ethanol evaporates, and then it hits a cooling coils over here. That condenses, and then the ethanol gets collected here, and then gets pushed back over to there when we extract again. I wouldn't say that. Ethanol is a very safe extraction solvent. It's just fun. It's interesting. It's like scientifically, like chemically enabled, you could say. You have to problem solve a lot of things. There's a lot of things, little issues that come up that we have to fix. But generally speaking, it's pretty safe and fun and interesting.
So now, after coming out of the decarb unit, it comes over here, and this right here is a short path distillation unit. It's a true short path, and basically what we're doing is we take THCA crude that's been prepped and decarbed 100%, It goes into the feeding vessel, and then it flows through the first pump, it goes up, feeds into the extraction column, and then basically what it's doing is it's wiping your crude oil very thinly up against the walls, and then at the same time, every piece has a different temperature, which is going to make certain things condense. So basically, this is the second stage of our process. Your first pass, you get off your terpenes, and then your second pass is where you're going to actually get your cannabinoids. So right now, on this side, you got raw crude oil coming out the bottom. This is basically waste now. There's fractions of cannabinoids in there, but nothing really that's like worth saving. And then on this half is basically your THCA. So what we do is like we have our own special process, and what we're doing is we take this product and then we refine it more and more depending on what the customer wants. So some people want their volume out of the material to get the majority of it, and then some people want a higher concentration. So it's either basically we can spend like you can get exactly what you want for the customer. It just depends on what they want. Do you want volume or do you want concentration? And that's basically what it's doing. But also too is this guy right here. It's a liquid nitrogen. Not only do we use it for extraction, but we also use it in distillation because extraction is good to use, but it's the coldest substance on planet Earth. It gets to like -200 C. And when you introduce this to a distillation unit, it makes your oil a million times better. And you just get a better clarity and actually a higher concentration. So I'm gonna shoot some nitrogen for you guys. Oh yeah, so these are pretty much like heat transfer gloves. It's like heat and cold. This is just because it comes out so cold, it will literally like will freeze your hands. So if you don't put these on, you'll really hurt yourself. At the same time too, I'm gonna put on my face shield just to be safe. We're all working with nitrogen, and then it could get in your eyes. If it does, it is not good. So protection first. Right now, this guy is the nitrogen injector. Look at the diffuser at the bottom of it. Goes right into the second cold trap. Now you got nitrogen through the system. Now you get optimal back, get better clarity, better everything. So if you look at the back gauge, if anybody does distillation or has ever seen anything, some people read microns, some people read torr, but -3 as far as microns, we're in like 5 microns, and it's pretty deep pressure. So basically you're going to get the best pull, the best color, and at the same time too is you have so many volatiles that are going back and forth. The cold temperatures are actually going to save your vacuum pump. So the colder you get it, you actually save from having to change your oil. You know, you save tons of money. So nitrogen is expensive as it is one of the best things to use in distillation, extraction. I mean, people swear by it, and it works really good. That's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Tracy. I'm the office manager. I work with an amazing group of people. I handle all of the accounting and the HR and also the payroll. I am also part of the compliance team, so anything I can do to make sure that we are compliant, keep everything running smoothly. I was also fortunate enough to meet Hab at the Cannabis Fair. That's how I got the job, and I've been here since July of last year, and I love it here. No, first time in the cannabis industry. It's great. It's great. It's very different from any other business. You know, from the regular corporate world. There's a lot of different compliance when it comes to cannabis. One of the biggest things is when it comes to taxes. You know, there's a 280E, so like normal businesses can write off expenses. Cannabis, we can't write off expenses, so that's definitely different. The company is great. GreenPoint is an amazing company to work for. I love everyone that we work with. Hab is very knowledgeable when it comes to this industry, all the compliance, writing the applications. He definitely knows what he's doing, so, and I appreciate that.
So here we are in our manufacturing facility, and I'm about to walk you into our mechanical extraction, water-based extraction, and rosin pressing room. We do non-volatile extraction for both our in-house brand HighNMighty as well as other brands in a white label service. So over here we've established a room where I'm going to take you to Lewis, our bubble hash expert, who's going to explain a little bit about the process. Lewis, why don't you tell a little bit of everybody what you do in here?
Hello, it's me again, Lewis Patashnik. So essentially this is our water hash and rosin pressing room. So essentially water hash is an extraction method where glandular trichomes are knocked off the cannabis plant using ice, water, and agitation. Here at GreenPoint, we actually hand wash everything in our pure pressure bruteless hash washing vessel. It's medical grade stainless steel, super easy to clean, and you can run about 30 pounds of fresh frozen, even more at a time. These are called bubble bags. They're mesh bags in which hash is caught once the trichomes fall into the water. These essentially catch the trichomes and allow you to scoop them and freeze dry them to be pressed on our press after they're dry. So the freeze dryer essentially uses a process called sublimation to remove the water and the moisture from the trichomes without affecting the terpene profile and the flavor of that hash. You know, that's why it's worth $100, $120 a gram. It's because of that flavor and that consistency that you can only get from the water hash extraction process. And that's why the terpene preservation aspect of the freeze dryer is so important. This is just an ice machine that we use to collect reverse osmosis filtered ice. Reverse osmosis filtered ice is also very important because not only does it last longer than regular ice, but it also allows you to be certain that your hash doesn't have any contaminants from hard minerals and heavy metals and things like that that you might find in other kinds of ice, store-bought ice, stuff like that. So thank you very much. That's pretty much all there is to it, to water hash extraction, and at least in this room.
Hello everyone, I'm Hab Haddad. I'm the CEO of GreenPoint. We're here at our facility located in Long Beach, California, District 9, North Long Beach. We are a Type 6 manufacturer, licensed under the CDPH. We're also a Type 11 distributor, licensed under the BCC. We're located in the same 4,000 square foot facility. It's pretty much divided in half, in which we have half of our facility as our manufacturing plant, and the other half as our distribution plant. And we're one of the unique licensees that has 2 licenses under the same roof, but is not designated as a micro business. And in conjunction with Long Beach's municipal code and tax code, that makes us a unique licensee in that our tax is passed through from manufacturing over to distribution, so that 1% tax rate is carried over into distribution. So it's 1% straight across, instead of 1% for manufacturing and 1% for distribution, ultimately meaning 2%. So Long Beach is one of the more affordable cities to start your cannabis business in, but it wasn't always this way. And that's part of the history here of Long Beach. I joined the LBCA as one of the first things I did when I realized that Long Beach was one of the unique cities in Southern California which you could openly apply for a cannabis business license as long as you had the proper real estate in the proper zone. Where most other municipalities or cities or locations within the counties had very limited licensing. You couldn't openly apply for a cannabis business. It was usually a contest or a lottery-based system when they gave out limited number of retail, manufacturing, cultivation, distribution licenses because they were kind of afraid of rolling it out because they didn't understand the industry. They thought it was just, an evil, ominous thing, as opposed to a formidable, legitimate business which creates jobs and revenue potential for the cities. And so, coming to Long Beach, which is also unique in the sense that the citizens voted the cannabis initiative in, it made it unique in that the city council didn't have the control of the cannabis municipal code. The citizens did. Where every other city that rolled out cannabis, it was rolled out through an action done by the city council. So therefore, they made the rules. And they could make the rules as easy or as hard as they liked. Here in Long Beach, it was under the public scrutiny and therefore was managed more so by the public and administered by the city. And so, in knowing that, it gives us a lot of leverage to be paid attention to by the political powers within the city of Long Beach. And using the LBCA as the vehicle, the LBCA members joined forces, got together, created a bunch of subcommittees to help address issues within the cannabis community. One of those main issues was taxes. I was probably the loudest voice in the room at the time, and I was put in charge to be the lead of the tax subcommittee so that we could address the city directly and take the steps necessary to kind of educate them on why taxing the supply chain made operating a cannabis business almost, I don't want to say impossible, but very improbable to succeed. And so after about 10 months of lobbying and educating the city council and the political powers that be, we were able to basically make them see the light that overtaxing the supply chain wasn't smart business practice if you wanted to attract businesses within the city of Long Beach. And so what businesses ended up doing, they ended up going to other cities that had a lower tax base. And so Long Beach was very proactive and basically lowered the tax from 6% gross down to 1% gross receipts from any cannabis business, which means manufacturer, distributor, and testing lab. The cultivation tax and the retail tax remain the same, and that's another thing to note is that the state doesn't tax the entire supply chain. They just tax cultivators and the retailers. But for some reason, all the cities who rolled out cannabis thought that they should tax every part of the supply chain, including the growers and the retailers. So they tax cannabis all along the process, so by the time it gets to the consumer, it's so expensive that they don't end up buying it from legal avenues. And what ends up happening is the state and the city who set these rules up end up endangering the public's health because they end up diverting all those sales to the black market, and where there's untested cannabis that has pesticides, molds, and other bacteria in it, all because they're trying to save the cost in which they're purchasing for some their medicine and for some their recreational consumption of choice. So lowering the taxes was not only good for cannabis businesses, but also good for the people of Long Beach and the consumers who basically voted this in, and it's the will of the people that we're here today, and so we're here out carrying their initiative, and we're just the businessmen behind it. So in Long Beach, what's unique about us is the LBCA has set up pretty much an open form of collaboration where cannabis businesses who are licensed can join once a month, and actually more frequently than that, and share their stories and unify and kind of spread the knowledge that's necessary to kind of be nimble in the industry. And sharing the stories is what allows you to kind of shift left and right when issues come up. And because this is an agricultural crop that has been regulated like a pharmaceutical industry, it's made it very difficult for us to operate. It's very difficult to take an agricultural crop and make it be adhered to as if it's a pharmaceutical product. And what they didn't realize is the amount of cost that it would take and waste that it would take to create it in the way they set it up. So not only does it take a large amount of capital, but they've also generated a system which generates an immense amount of waste in a state where we're focused on the ecology and the earth. So we're at this kind of like divide of trying to roll out the cannabis industry because we're afraid of what it is and maybe what it isn't, but they don't understand the ramifications of the policies that they put in place just because they have no experience in it. So it's hard to find people with experience in the cannabis industry who are also policymakers. So what it's going to take is the experienced operators, like the members of the LBCA, communicating with policymakers so they understand our issues in a business forum, not a shouting and screaming match which unfortunately has been where the cannabis industry came from the traditional side into the light. It's been a bit of a fight to get legalization pushed forward, but we're at the point now where the cannabis industry is probably the hardest it's ever been today. So if we can survive today, at the hardest point in which it exists, we will be fine tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Hopefully less regulation, more business-minded and collaboration amongst licensees and even non-licensees. We're not allowed to do business with non-licensees, but there's no reason for that. So I see a lot of potential commerce opening up once they break down those walls. Once we can do interstate commerce, sky's the limit. Once we can do mail order cannabis like Canada, sky's the limit. There's a lot of potential. Once I can get legitimate banking and a loan like a regular business, sky's the limit. We have a lot of potential in this industry, but we have a lot to clean up, so we have work ahead of us.